Hello, fitness family. My name is Jeff Hartman, and I'm part of the JAC Fitness team. And this is the first episode of the JAC Fitcast. With me is Ashlyn, Chad. They're going to introduce themselves. Let's get to Ashlyn. Ashlyn, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Ashlyn. I'm a mom of three. I am 42, and I've been in this business for about 15 years.
Very good. Chad, introduce yourself, my friend.
Chad Smith, owner and head coach of Fitness Revolution in Hagerstown, Maryland. I've been involved in fitness in many capacities for like 25 years now. In other words, old as dirt.
Very good. So as I already introduced myself, my name is Jeff Hartman. We're all from the Hagerstown, the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll put it that way. I'm 36 years old, father of five, very, very busy, but still take time to keep fitness as a large part of my life. Now, Chad, I want to throw it over to you right off the bat. Give our listeners, give our audience, or maybe someone that just stumbled upon the show, whether it's via our YouTube channel or an audio, any of our audio platforms, what can they expect from JAC Fitness moving forward in the future?
Man, what you guys can expect is a blend of education, entertainment, and just an all-around pleasant experience in the world of fitness and nutrition. We're going to cut through all the hype. We're going to cut through all the nonsense, and we're going to give you the straight dope as far as research and practical experience and knowledge that we have. So, and we're just going to let you just have fun doing it. You're going to want to make this a daily stop. Guarantee it.
Absolutely. And we'll be unveiling a lot of new stuff. So make sure you check it out. We'll have workouts. We'll have nutritional tips. And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about some of those things. And today's focus and the title of the first episode is Fad Diets, or as some might want to call it, Chad is one of those people, popular diets. And I use the air quotes there if you're listening to us on audio platforms. So
can they hear air quotes?
You can't hear them, but we are on YouTube. So if you're live on YouTube, you see those air quotes. The popular diets that we're going to focus on today there's mainly three, but we're going to focus on two, and that's the ketogenic or the keto diet and the Paleolithic or the paleo diet. Now, Ashlyn, I want to throw it over to you. I want to get your take on what you think about these diets in general. Do you have those definitions? If you have the definitions and what they consist of, you can go ahead and read those off. If not, let's talk through it, what you think about it, and then I'll throw it over to Chad. So, Ashlyn, we'll start with you.
Well, both the diets, the paleo and the keto they sound really, really good and enticing for people to do because it offers quick weight loss. But with that, it's also, you're taking away a lot of foods that we need in order to create a balanced diet. So I think it's such a craze because people really want to lose weight fast, even though it didn't take them that way to gain it. The paleo diet it's more eating meat under the assumption that the early cave dwellers had limited access to grain and greens. So they were made to eat a diet primarily composed of protein. So none of us are going out and finding our meat, killing it, dragging it back. So
speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Listen, I tackled a deer this morning. What are you talking about?
I bet you did.
That was my warm up today.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ashlyn, you did a good job giving a basic summary of the diets. What are your thoughts on keto versus paleo? Do you follow one or the other, or do you just say, you know what, you don't need to follow either one of these? There's a path that you can blaze on your own.
Yeah, I wouldn't follow either of these. I have clients that do follow them and they're successful with it. But for me, I like more variety in my food and a balanced diet, and a lot of things that you're doing. If you're a marathon runner, I mean, you're going to need complex carbs to get you through 26.2 miles. So for me, I don't agree with them, and I probably wouldn't recommend them to people.
All right, Chad, let's start over to you. What are your thoughts on keto versus paleo?
I freaking hate keto, and here's why. Because historically, the ketogenic diet, it wasn't even meant for weight loss. It was meant to treat seizures. It was a medical program. So now we have a bunch of people who are taking this medical type diet and are using it without any kind of knowledge of the history of it, without any kind of knowledge of the research behind it, and without any kind of knowledge of what it may be doing to their bodies. So my main issue with this program is that it's so much fat and it's so restrictive. There's 1 calorie of fat for every 3 calories. No, I'm sorry. There's 3 calories of fat for every 1 calorie of protein and carbohydrate. That's a crap ton of fat. Literally, that's a crap ton of fat. And I mean, a guy my size, about 200 pounds. I would have to eat a ridiculous amount of fat to be on a ketogenic plan, and it's just not feasible. We weren't made to eat that much fat in our diet. We just weren't meant to. So while I congratulate people who have used the program with weight loss success, I just gotta think that the long term, and we're starting to see in these studies, we're starting to see that long term use of this program. It's looking like it may be harmful long term. So my whole philosophy on diets in general is that you've got your regular smart methods of eating, then you've got your gas pedals, right? Then you start to hit something for like a couple of weeks, then you're off it. So if you're going to do an extreme diet like this, like a ketogenic diet, you got to put a time limit on it. Then you got to go back to something that's a little more sensible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
maybe like a 3 to 6 week sprint is what we're looking at when you're looking at one of these extreme diet programs. If you want to lose a bunch of weight, you want to get ready for an event, you want to get ready for a trip. That's when I would put my clients on a tougher diet plan. But in general, it's just about now paleo is more meat based. It's a more sensible program. It's meat, it's
Right.
vegetables, and it's a limited amount of grain. However, it can be easy to overdo the protein on the paleo plan also, because if you think about it, we don't have to work for meat anymore. We can go right to the supermarket and buy whatever meat we want to. They had to hunt and kill their meat. So they were physically exerting themselves to earn their meal that day. And they may have only eaten meat like once a day, not 6 times a day like we typically tend to eat if we're trying to bodybuild. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it can be really easy to tax your body with protein consumption on the paleo plan also. So those are my thoughts.
So yeah, the ketogenic diet is so fat based, and for me, as I get older, and we're all at different ages here on this show, the one word that always comes to mind when I think of how I train and how I eat is sustainability. And being able to do it for an extended period of time, not having to drastically change my lifestyle. And that's why I don't like the ketogenic diet. Like Chad said, you're consuming so much fat. And there's so many people, and I can't say all because there are people that have had success, long-term
Hmm.
success on the ketogenic diet. But for me, you see so many people that eventually they want to eat those carbohydrates again. And the one thing I hate the most is that most people that really follow ketogenic diets strictly, they eliminate a lot of really healthy carbohydrates from their diet. We're
Hmm.
talking your fruits, your vegetables, and that is not a sustainable way to live. To me, ketogenic diet is the Atkins diet on steroids. I mean, they just kind of throw in some extra stuff. It's really not that different. And the Atkins diet has been laughed out of town more ways than you and I can both name. So for me, I don't like the keto diet personally. Again, like Chad said, I did like his thoughts on, a little gas pedal for someone if they want to switch things up. For me, because my son is a type 1 diabetic, and we do have to watch his how his body responds to different carbohydrates and things like that. My family follows not a very strict Paleolithic diet, but we do eliminate a lot of the stuff that is eliminated on that diet plan. So we are very vegetable based. We eat fruits and we eat lean meats, and that's really the Paleolithic way. You ask yourself, is this made from the earth, or is this made somewhere in a factory? If it's made in a factory, you probably can't eat it. But if it's from the earth, then you're probably good to go. And so that's kind of like if you're wondering, okay, how can I remember what's what? That's a good way to remember it. I do like the Paleolithic diet better if you're going to choose one or the other. I think it's more sustainable, and I think it's also healthier for you in the long term because, as Chad mentioned, the ketogenic diet has been, you know, the long-term studies are just now starting to come out, and we're seeing some not so nice trends from those long-term studies. But what's crazy is I love Chipotle. I don't know if you all do. So everyone,
Mm,
some people like Moe's, some people like
mm.
Chipotle. I'm a Chipotle guy,
Chipotle is
and
my spot.
I'll tell you what, man, Chipotle is a trailblazer in the industry already with their their strict requirements for the meat that they use, how they prepare things there on spot. It's not going to be sent in, like the guacamole is not made in Arizona and shipped to Maryland. They're making it there on site. Well, lo and behold, I went to Chipotle the other day and I see that they have a Paleolithic bowl, they have a ketogenic bowl, and they have a Paleolithic, or I'm sorry, not, a Whole 30
A
bowl,
whole
a
30
Whole
bowl.
30 bowl. And so we were talking before we went on the air about the Whole 30. Chad, have you done the Whole 30 at all, or heard about it at all?
No, I've not done the whole 30. That's one of the two programs that I've actually not done. I'm a human laboratory. I do everything on myself before I put it, on my clients. So that's one of the two programs I've not done ketogenic diet, and I've not done whole 30.
Ashlyn, have you done it yet?
I have done the keto. I have not done the Whole 30.
Okay. The Whole 30 essentially is 30 straight days, no breaks, no cheat meals, nothing of that nature, where you can't consume certain things. So there's no sugar. So nothing, candies and stuff like that. That's very obvious that's going to be eliminated. No dairy, anything that's extremely processed. You can't have things like regular potatoes. Sweet potatoes are okay. Regular potatoes are not. There are some versions of the Whole 30 that cut out the whole nightshade family. The ones that we did not. So your bell peppers, your seasonings like paprika and things of that nature, your legumes, which are also in the nightshade. You're not. Yeah, you got to cut that out. I've done a nightshade elimination diet as well. That's a different story for another time. But still, so the Whole 30, there's a lot of people, man, that have a lot of success with this. They're able to continue on that eating path afterwards. And for crying out loud, there's people that are paying a lot of money to be Whole 30 coaches now, and that's kind of their occupation. And so,
hey,
what's up?
Listen, you alluded to something earlier that is the absolute greatest thing to think about when people are thinking about, well, what diet can I go on? What's the best diet? I hear it all the time. What's the best diet? The best diet is the one that you can live with.
Yep.
Because in other studies, there isn't any evidence that any one way of eating is better than the other. What diet the best diet is the one that you can stick with. We're seeing that long term is what matters. Which one can you stick with long term? Whatever diet you choose, you stick with it. If you can do it for more than a year, you're golden. That's all that matters. Because at the end, what we see is everything that did a huge study recently. It was a high carb and low carb plan. What they found was that most folks got more results in the beginning on a low carb plan, and all began to level out as time went on. And they got almost identical results at the 1 year mark.
Yeah.
So what can you stick with is more important than trying to find some a dietary mantra of what you're going to stick to. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, too, you talk about low carb craze that was going on. It still is kind of going on. You think of diets like the South Beach diet. I remember my wife and I will be married. We'll be married 12 years this year, and right before our wedding, both sets of our parents went on the South Beach diet. It was not. They did not talk about it. They just both did it at the same time. And I hated it from the start because they have phases. Phase 1, no carbohydrates whatsoever. You're going to see massive weight loss, but at the same time, then they say we're going to slowly introduce them back into your diet. Well, guess what you're going to do after phase 4? You're going to go back to the way that you were eating before you started.
Yeah.
So it just seems so counterproductive and to me. And so the best thing is, and what I want to ask, we'll start with Ashlyn here. When you approach your eating habits, like, what is your focus? What is your general fundamental principles that you follow when it comes to what you consume on a daily basis?
Mine are how many fruits and vegetables and lean proteins I can eat in a day. But I also do the intermittent fasting, so that doesn't give me a whole bunch of time. So I have to pick wisely, and lots of water. So mine's basically it's basically just clean eating with an occasional dessert or something.
How do you define clean? How do you define clean?
I define clean by more raw or roasted vegetables. I don't eat a lot of carbs, so my carbs are usually done in the morning or in the afternoon. I try not to eat carbs at night. So I just limit those.
Do you
But
do
I mean,
macro? Do you do macro counting? Do you count
I
your
do not.
macronutrients? You do not.
I eat the same thing every day. So I'm one of those people.
Okay. What about you, Chad? What's your approach to how you eat?
My approach is I eat whatever the heck I want, basically. You
Oh,
know,
nice.
like for most of the year, I eat whatever I want. Within reason. I don't really deny myself anything. I eat a lot of vegetables. I take a vegetable supplement. I eat lots of protein, at least 200 grams a day. I drink lots of water. I do eat carbs, but I eat the good carbs as far as like Jeff said, as close to nature as possible. Like jasmine rice. I eat potatoes. I eat yams. I eat this good filling carb because my big focus is strength and strength and
Uh,
maintaining all this
Oh,
black steel that you see right here, maintaining all that
yeah.
black steel because I'm a professional wrestler, so I've got to keep a lot of muscle so I don't break my spine whenever I hit that ring. You know what I mean? So I focus on just constantly keeping my body full of protein and carbs, keeping my body nice and fueled with vegetables and fruit. Now, when I push the gas pedal, I get a lot more strict. Then I count calories because I need to burn a certain amount of calories every day. I need to stay under a certain amount of calories every day so I can keep the burning going every day. So that might be like 6 weeks out of the year. I'm quote unquote dieting. You know what I mean? But the rest of the year, I just try to be sensible. I eat good protein, good carbs, and lots of fruits and vegetables, and I train hard every day.
Yeah, we'll get into workouts in another episode and how we like to train, but when it comes to how I eat, it's changed a lot over the years. And like Chad said, I treat my body like a human laboratory. I try all this different stuff. I did a Whole30 with my wife. I've done a 21-day sugar detox. I've done food eliminations where I eliminate things like dairy. I eliminate nightshades. I eliminate all sorts of different stuff. Sometimes it's for a purpose. Sometimes it's just because I'm kind of sadistic. I'm sadistic and want to challenge myself and challenge my self-discipline. I don't drink alcohol really anymore. My diet consists of vegetables, good carbohydrates, and proteins, but I'm really, really big on counting my macronutrients, which we're going to do an entire episode on that. I have numbers, I have goals that I want to reach every day. And as the weather gets warmer, as I prepare for the opportunity to potentially, like if I'm outside cutting the grass and my shirt's off, I want to look nice. I want to look
Oh Lord
good.
Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie. It's important to everyone. Don't shake your head
Uh-huh.
like it's not important. You
It is
start to
important.
take. I then adjust my macro numbers accordingly so that I get the results that I want. I adjust my workouts. It really is kind of like a puzzle piece for me, and it's just about, okay, how do I want to put the puzzle together? I have tried a bunch of different stuff. I've failed a bunch of different times with whether I got the result that I wanted. And it's a work in progress. That's what people need to realize. Like, you could be like Ashlyn and eat the same thing every day, and that's fine. But there might become a time where she has to change it up a
Pick
little
it
bit
up. Yep.
because as she gets older, all of us change, our hormones change, the body reacts different to different things. And so you got to be able to adjust on the fly, and you have to know what you're doing. And so that's where hopefully us at JAC Fitness will be able to help you, not only with our nutritional services that we'll be offering, but also in our workouts and workout programs and things like that. Now, speaking of, getting to that end goal, and speaking of where we are now, where we've come from, this is where I wanted to get into to end the show. Each of us have our own origin story. I just think that, what was your genesis? Where did this all start from? Where did your fitness journey begin to get you to where you are today? Ashlyn, I think it's appropriate we start with you. Where did you start? Give us a little bit of information, a little bit of background on you and your fitness journey.
Vanity is what started it. So
You mean the artist? You mean
no.
Princess
So
girlfriend Vanity?
my ex-husband, did car shows. We had a car stereo business, and what's at car shows with cars? Lots of bikini models. So it was just something. I had my first child, gained probably 50 pounds with her. I'm
Dang.
5'1.5". That doesn't
If
look so
maybe.
good on that frame. So, try to lose weight, and then got pregnant. Try to lose weight, got pregnant with a third. So It was just difficult because I didn't have YouTube. I got magazines, just started reading, got books. I think the Arnold Schwarzenegger book, honestly, was the book I
There you
bought.
go.
The
Had no,
encyclopedia.
had
The
Yeah,
no clue.
encyclopedia.
bodybuilding. That's
Yes.
right.
Red, and then Tybo and the Firm were real big fitness things then. And I just cleaned up my diet. I took away all red meat, ate turkey burger, vegetables, and I lost 50 pounds just by doing that.
That's
And
dope.
running. I put so many
Good.
miles on my treadmill that every time I got service, the guy was like, I've never seen this many miles on a treadmill.
Wow. There you go.
It was pretty awesome.
And then
I tried to be I tried to be a runner last year. It didn't take.
That's okay. At least you tried.
well, Chad and I are the kind that we only run if we're being chased.
I know, but I
Exactly.
like it. It's a stress relief.
You know, and I'm black, so I'm more likely to be chased than he is. You know, I'm a lot more likely to be chased than he is. You know. I always hang out with Jeff because I need someone to talk to the cops. You know, I can't do it.
That's true. That's true.
You got a
That's
white
my
name,
job.
Chad Smith. That's a white name. You can't get any whiter than that.
All right, well, let's go over to Chad Smith. Chad, what is your origin story? How did you find your way here?
Man, my origin story is the origin story of a superhero, man, because I was, if you know me, you know I'm a big superhero nerd, man. I like all things superheroes, comic books, movies, all that stuff. And by the way, go get your Endgame tickets, Jeff. Stop playing around.
What? What are you
Go
talking
get your
about?
Avengers Endgame tickets.
stop.
Oh,
Are you kidding
jeez.
me,
Here
Jeff?
we go.
Come
I
on.
don't know.
Come on. All right. So anyway, so I used to read Batman comics and Thor and Green Lantern, and I always wanted to look like those guys. So I started going to the Boys and Girls Club here in Hagerstown, and I started getting taught how to work out by Jim Diener, who used to teach a lot of us little kids, how to work out and how to set goals and how to be consistent. So I worked out with Jim Diener and started working out over at North High with Mr. Nepper. And by the end of my, probably by the time I got to my first year in high school, I developed a pretty decent physique. And I kept on going. I kept learning. I kept reading books. My optometrist was an avid bodybuilder. And whenever I had my eye appointments, he would always give me a new magazine to read. So eventually I would go by there every week and I would go through one of his magazines every single week. And I started doing the routines that were in the magazine, and I just learned how to do a bodybuilder's diet, and ended up doing my first bodybuilding show at 19. I won that show. Did a second one at 20. I won that show. Then I got into professional wrestling, and that was the first. Actually, my first bit of being an athlete was my junior year in high school. I had never done anything athletic until my junior year, and I got into wrestling, and I loved it. So after high school, I got into pro wrestling. So that made me want to learn, more about how to increase performance and how to prevent injury. And then I started getting into professional training, and then I got into powerlifting, and did well there. So basically, I'm a winner with everything that I touch. Basically, that's how it works. Everything I touch, I win at. Basically, that's how it works. So, but now here I am, 20 years deep into professional training, own a gym, and we've been open for almost 5 years now, and we're going strong. And now we're moving on to the next thing, which is going to be what we're doing, JAC Fitness, teaming up with two of my buddies, and we're trying to teach a broader audience how to be successful in less time than you think every day.
Absolutely. And so if everything you do, you win. I'm glad we're business partners in this venture. That's good for me.
Exactly.
That's good for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. To give you my origin story, it started in sixth grade, and it was my brother. He got a subscription to Men's Health magazine, and I don't know how or why. He's 3 years older than I am. So he's a freshman in high school, and it was part seeing that cover model and saying, I want to look like that. It was part idolizing guys like Hulk Hogan, Rocky Balboa, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was part Napoleon complex and the fact that my brother got more of the height in my family. And so I said, if I'm not going to be able to be taller than him, I'm going to be stronger than him. And my brother's a great guy. He was he's probably one of my best friends, and he's is he could care less about what I do, but I've always compared myself to him in everything that we do. And so growing up, I played sports. I was an all-state catcher in high school, golfer in high school. I played lacrosse in college. I coached after. So obviously fitness and being at having some level of performance has always been very important, but it wasn't until college where I got into training. I got my first personal training certification while I was at Shepherd University. And that's when I started to work at this gym called Gold's Gym in Hagerstown, where I met Chad Smith, and we trained together for several years until I got a full-time job. I'm a physical education teacher now, and
ate sushi, and we ate lots
yes,
of sushi.
we ate that buffet lost money. We'll just put it that way. But still, with that said, I mean, he taught me a lot as a really growing trainer. And when I first started, it was Mondays back, Tuesdays chest, and he kind of flipped everything on its head for me and made me look at things a little different and really helped me out a lot. And so here we are now, 2019, starting this venture. I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to offer you because it's going to be across every platform. If you didn't know we're on Instagram, you can follow us on Instagram. If you didn't know that we are on Facebook, we have a Facebook page. We're just starting our YouTube work here, as well as on our podcast platforms, which will get active here in this week. So, Ashlyn, anything to say before we call it a show?
I don't think so. Just that I'm excited to be with you guys and to help people and show them what we got. And
Chad, what about you? I'm sure you have something to say.
Listen, I'm just trying to get Ashlyn out that daggone closet, so maybe we can get her set up.
I'm out.
Maybe we can get, it looks like you're in a hostage. It looks like you're making a hostage tape. Like they're making you read off a script in like a hostage film.
If she starts to whisper really quietly, I need help. We need to end the show and get.
Yeah.
I have her address. I'll drive right over.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
That's a different story altogether.
Don't worry about that.
I think that's a good way to end the first episode. Thank you for checking out the JAC Fitcast. We'll be back next week. We're going to try these once a week. And next week, we'll talk about whether it's workouts, whether it's nutrition again. And we'll see you on the next episode.